Welcome to the Silent Script, the podcast where we explore the stories that often go untold.
Today, we're examining the people we become along the way, and how some of the hardest chapters of our lives quietly prepare us for the ones we once dreamed about.
You know, Xander, there are people who look successful from the outside, and you would never know what it took them to get there.
Exactly. You see where they are now. You see the accomplishments, the confidence, maybe even the stability, but you don't always see the road behind them.
And the person in today's story had a road that wasn't always easy. Growing up, they faced challenges that forced them to mature in ways other people around them may not have understood. There were things they had to figure out for themselves. There were moments when they probably wished someone would come along and make everything easier. But eventually, they realized something. No one was coming to save them.
That sounds harsh when you first hear it.
It does, but sometimes that realization can become empowering because instead of waiting for someone to change their circumstances, they started asking themselves, what can I do with what I have?
And that changes everything, because now you're no longer waiting for life to become perfect before you start living it.
Exactly. They worked, they learned, they made mistakes, they got back up, and slowly they started building something for themselves. But then life did what life does.
Through a curveball.
A big one. And sometimes the hardest thing about a curveball isn't the situation itself. It's that it can bring you face to face with things you thought you had already overcome. Old fears, old insecurities, old survival habits.
That's deep, because sometimes you can be successful and still have moments where the younger version of you shows up.
Absolutely. Success doesn't erase your past. Sometimes success gives you the opportunity to finally understand it. And instead of allowing those challenges to destroy everything they had worked for, this person learned how to navigate them, not perfectly, but differently.
And I think that's an important distinction. Growth doesn't always mean this will never bother me again. Sometimes growth means this still affects me, but now I know what to do when it happens.
Exactly. And somewhere along the journey, they realized something else. They may have had to save themselves, but that didn't mean they had to do everything alone.
There's a difference.
A huge difference, because throughout different chapters of their life, people appeared. A teacher, a friend, a mentor, a coworker, maybe even someone who was only around for a short season. They didn't come to rescue them, they came to guide them.
And sometimes the person who changes your life doesn't stay in your life forever.
Exactly. Some people are there for a chapter. They teach you something, they introduce you to something, they challenge you, they encourage you, they open a door, and then life moves both of you in different directions. That doesn't make their role insignificant.
It actually makes you appreciate timing, because maybe they showed up exactly when you needed what they carried.
And that became one of the biggest lessons in this person's journey. They stopped expecting life to always move upward. They learned the ebb and flow of life. There are seasons when everything seems to come together, and there are seasons when everything seems to slow down. There are seasons of abundance, seasons of uncertainty, seasons where doors open, and seasons where you have to sit with yourself and figure out who you are without the applause.
And success is knowing how to live through all of them.
Exactly, because maybe success isn't having a life where nothing goes wrong. Maybe success is becoming someone who knows they can handle life when it does.
That changes the definition completely.
It does. Today, this person is successful, but their greatest accomplishment may not be what they have. It may be who they had to become to hold it. Someone resilient enough to survive difficult beginnings, humble enough to accept guidance, wise enough to recognize when a season has ended, and strong enough to begin again when necessary.
So maybe the challenges weren't interruptions to the story.
Maybe they were part of the story, and maybe some of the people they met along the way weren't coincidences either. Every chapter gave them something. The difficult chapters gave them resilience. The uncertain chapters gave them patience. The successful chapters gave them confidence. And the people along the way gave them perspective. Together, all of it created the person they are today.
So, what would you say to somebody listening right now who feels like they're in one of those difficult chapters?
I would tell them this. Don't judge your entire story by the chapter you're currently living. You may be in a season where nothing makes sense. You may feel behind. You may feel like everyone else has figured life out while you're still trying to find your footing. But life has an ebb and flow. Some seasons are for building, some are for learning, some are for losing, some are for receiving, and some are simply teaching you how strong you actually are.
And don't overlook the people who genuinely help you along the way.
Exactly. You may have to take responsibility for your own life, but that doesn't mean you have to reject every helping hand. Sometimes strength is doing it yourself, and sometimes strength is knowing when to let someone show you a way you couldn't see on your own. So if you're listening and life has thrown you a curveball, remember, you've survived chapters before that you once thought would break you. Keep learning, keep adapting, keep showing up. Let people pour wisdom into you when it's genuine, and when your season changes, don't be afraid to change with it. Because one day, you may look back and realize that the moments you thought were setting you back were actually teaching you how to navigate the life you are asking for.
Your story doesn't have to be perfect to become powerful.
And your beginning doesn't get to decide your ending. This is the silent script.
Where the stories people don't always tell.
Might be exactly the stories someone else needs to hear.